Welcome to GESSCast. Tune in and listen as we speak to global education experts about the latest trends, challenges and stories that matter.
Welcome to a special edition of the GESSCast, live here at GESS Dubai 2024. I'm Millie, and today we're joined with someone we've had on the podcast before, who's really popular. It's Matt Green, who is also known as the rapping science teacher. Matt's not only a viral sensation on social media, on TikTok particularly, where he does his science rap videos, but he's also the founder of JGM Tutors, which is a leading tutoring network with over 100 qualified educators. So welcome, Matt, to the GESSCast, or welcome back, should I say?
Yeah, I'm always happy to be here.
Yeah, it's really great to be live on site with you today, and this is one of the biggest gatherings of educators and innovators.
I know. It's a crazy place.
It's only day one, but what stood out to you so far today?
You know what, it's been a bit of a rush for me this morning because I've had my own show and having to get back to prepare for various things for tomorrow. But the scope of it, so I've been to a few conferences this year, and this is vast. There's so much going on. I was seeing some crazy interactive displays down there. I don't know what the company name was. I was seeing some other go-karts over there, some other 3D printing stuff. So it's all going on, all stuff I love in the form of education. And I'm going to check it out a little bit later on, but I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, for sure. There's so much to see on site today,
Yes,
I think.
yes.
Like, this is, well, I guess I'm biased, but GESS is bigger and better this year. We've got a lot of new stuff going on, which I think is really great. And you had a talk this morning. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I was about to say, I've heard some rappings going on as well. Yes, so I had a show called How to Engage in the Digital Age. And it went well. I rapped, I spoke about a little bit of things people can use to integrate AI into their classroom, how to integrate social media in and out of the classroom, and how to bring, of course, music into your teaching.
Cool. And have you managed to chat to any of the other educators here today?
I have. I had a few chats to some of them straight after my little talk. And some of them shared some useful things, some good feedback on the show, and some useful things in AI that I had heard about that I'm going to start on immediately, actually. So yeah. I
think that's one of the most powerful things of GESS is people say about the connections that you make here. Whether it's educators who you maybe have been in contact with for a long time and you finally meet in person, or new faces and those new connections that you make to work with in the future.
Yeah, new people today and a few people that I know on LinkedIn and from connections from GESS before. So it's been good.
Oh, brilliant. And obviously you have a really creative approach to science education with your raps, which go down so well. And it's had such a huge impact on social media now.
Thank you very much.
How do you think the role of creativity is evolving the classroom, especially when it comes to subjects like science?
I think anything that involves creativity just makes things more interesting, right? If you're trying to read a textbook and just learn by rote, it's going to be difficult, especially if it's a subject you don't like very much. But if you can do things that involve music, I'm going to be biased and say that artwork, anything that involves creative spirit and thinking, and not just sitting down and writing or doing the same old things we know in education, just gets that spark and makes you want to do it more.
I was speaking to one of our other speakers yesterday, I can't remember who it was, but they showed me almost like a timetable of, I think like 80 to 100 different ways students can sort of show their feedback or show their learning without it being just like reading a textbook or doing a PowerPoint presentation. And they said through those, you can show, like it shows you what the students want to be when they grow up. So if they're constantly showing their work as, some drama presentation, it's like maybe this kid wants to go into acting, or they're always wanting to do like a drawing or a painting. It's like, okay, maybe they're very interested in art. And it was really interesting to see like when you give the children the freedom to show their work and show their learnings in their own way and have their own choice around that, you can learn so much about them, and I thought that was really interesting. And then have you seen any other students taking inspiration, I guess, from your raps? Has anyone ever tried to do something similar in the classroom?
I've had a video go viral where kids were singing it back. I think it's called duetting on TikTok. I should know this because I'm supposed to know the platform well. So I had hundreds of students were getting their camera set up, were rapping or singing over the song I'd done, and that was just spreading. And very often I see tracks go like that. But so kids rehearse it, and they'll put a camera up and do it along, and I get tagged in.
That must be such a lovely feeling to see them, they're taking on board what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing getting the views and the likes, but when I see students message me or literally come and see me and I'm like, oh my gosh, sir, I was getting a grade 3 before, now I'm getting a grade 5, your raps. I used to hate science before, but now I like it, I understand it. that's why I keep doing this.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And with JGM tutoring, does the music and rapping run into that side of things as well?
I would love to say you book a tutor with us, you're going to get a rapping teacher. But no, you'll get a fantastic teacher. But the rapping is something currently, I'm the only one I know that does this. And if any other teachers with us want to start doing it, hey, I'm here for it. But our thing is we take on fully qualified teachers, very experienced teachers, to work with children on a one-to-one basis to help them wherever their weak areas are. So we work with the family. They're weak in physics, weak with exam questions. That's where the tutors will help them.
Yeah. And whilst you've been working on the tutoring side, I know it's grown from having just a few staff to well over 100 now.
A one-man band once upon a time.
Yeah. It's really grown. And what shifts or trends have you noticed in the way that students are learning?
One of the main ones was people only wanted face-to-face in the early days. So 2018, it's early days, but when I started the company, 2017, 9 times out of 10 people wanted face-to-face lessons only. They didn't want online. I had to use, a little bit of salesmanship to explain the benefits. People would do a trial, and then they'd see. But when COVID hit, that's when everyone they had no choice, and then they'd see that it's just as effective as face-to-face. And in terms of other shifts, I think obviously ChatGPT is a big one. The fact that AI is now a thing you can use to help you write answers to questions. I still don't know what the best solution is to using it as a tool to help students write. Sometimes I compare it to the calculator, right? Once there was no calculator, suddenly there is, and students can now use it to do maths, but then it's integrated, and you teach kids how to do the calculations with it. One day I hope ChatGPT will be integrated like that. I'm sure it's not too far off. I just don't know if there are any teachers that have found ways yet.
That's a very good comparison. Yeah, I think when something new comes along, for a lot of people it can be just quite daunting. You don't know its capabilities and how far it can go. And obviously AI is changing so rapidly as well. Yeah. Is that something that you have to integrate within the tutoring, or have to think about with your tutors? I guess keeping up to date with AI technologies.
We always try to keep up to date. I'm sure at some point in the next 15, 20 years, one-to-one tutoring will look very, very different, because probably AI bots will be nearly as effective. I don't think you'll never be able to replace the motivation. So you're going to have a teacher teach you technically much better than I could in maybe 20 years' time. But at the end of it, if the computer says, "Hey, Millie, you done well," you can't take that seriously. Whereas if I say it to you, I think I did well, that has a meaning and that might motivate. But yeah, I think over the next 10, 20 years, one-to-one tutoring there will be AI in the mix, and it won't be the same as it was today.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we could ever get rid of that sort of, maybe not even face-to-face, but humanised and sort of something personable.
Yeah, because
it's all about connection, isn't it?
We always remember that teacher that motivated us. It wasn't just how they spoke and how they explained, but they'd have that eye contact, they have that connection with you. And they knew that you were weak at one point. They now know that you're strong, and you want to prove to them that you can keep it going. And I can't see how a computer can ever do that. No matter how real it might seem that you're speaking to a real person, you can't replace that.
Yeah. I was speaking to someone earlier, something along those lines, of how with a person, especially as a teacher, it's about having trust with a child, and that's what helps their learning as well. If they don't trust you and they don't have a connection with you, they're not going to be as bothered. And you can't do that. An AI bot can't do that necessarily. They can teach you a lot of stuff, but especially as a young child, they might not be that bothered to learn about it if they have no interest and trust in that person.
But don't get me wrong, I'm invested in it fully, and I love the idea. If I'm teaching 3 or 4 people in a small group here, my attention is going to be fully with you for a few moments to explain a topic. It's amazing to have highly sophisticated AI bots that will know each one's individual weakness, know what makes them tick in terms of learning, and that can help explain complex topics to them that they're not getting while I'm with you. That when you're on your way, I can move to each other student, and that's how I think lessons should be very soon.
And it's much more efficient, isn't it?
Way more efficient.
Yeah, I feel like the speed of everything is just increasing so rapidly.
And then when I move away from you and I'm with these guys, you're not waiting for me to mark your work. A computer's just done it straight away. It can tell you you've got it right or wrong.
Yeah. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, but obviously a lot of things people say is how, as much as we've got AI and all these new things happening, at the end of the day, with the curriculum, or particularly in the UK, it's still exams. And it's still, in a hall, no technology allowed, no textbooks, no nothing, and you've just got a pen and paper and you have to do the exam. Do you have any hopes for how you'd want that to change? Or can you envision what it could look like in the future, maybe, to go into, I can't think of the word.
Well, I mean,
sort of be in parallel with all the changes that are happening?
Ideally, at some point in the distant future, you should be able to have an AI bot that should be able to have a conversation with you, right, and ask you questions in different ways. Because it might be that student A does a written exam, student B does a written exam. If me and you speak to them, we might know that they know an answer quite well. We check their exam results, one gets 70%, the other gets 40%. But just because the way the words were written, something about that didn't work with one of the students. Whereas if you get a sophisticated AI machine that could speak like you and I, it could ask them questions and it could get verbally very different answers. And that might show them in the best light. We're not trying to help them with their answers. We're trying to see their knowledge. And sometimes, obviously, pen and paper is only one way of assessing someone.
Yeah.
If you can ask them and see other things, we're going to get a better picture. And hopefully there's going to be some bright spark out there that's going to develop a system that can do this. I don't know what it would look like or when it would come in, but hopefully it should.
Yeah. And when you guys, or at JGM Tutors, when you're looking at that, do you focus on just the UK curriculum? Because I think last time you mentioned that you're actually expanding out into other countries as well.
We work with other countries, but the UK curriculum is our bread and butter. That's what I taught when I was in schools. That's what I know well. Yeah. Our teachers are mainly UK based and they know that curriculum. And when we work with schools in Dubai, we're working with a few now, and when we're working with, there's many countries that take the UK curriculum. We know that. If we've got someone from a country that doesn't do it, we'll always be up front. If they still want to use us and we can help, then we will. But the UK curriculum is our strong point. Yeah.
And what's been the most rewarding part about growing your team at JGM Tutors?
Oh, I was asking that question. What's been the most rewarding? So, I've been a teacher and I've been unhappy in jobs. I've been happy in jobs, and I like the idea of teachers join us. They're able to enjoy the clients they have, enjoy the students they have, teach in a way that suits them. We take people on because of their brilliance, and we don't put many things in place that they have to do. Schools always, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to teach in this way. With us, you're with us because you're brilliant. Do your own thing and teach and help the students. Going from our original 2 tutors to 100s, it's been a fantastic journey. And seeing all the grades continue to improve and students do well, and our reviews continue to get better and better. That was always one of my worries as a company. Get more people, things start to wobble a little bit. But we haven't done it yet. Reviews are still looking good. So that's probably been the most rewarding thing. And hearing what students say. Students bring their messages to us and saying, oh, I was getting graded this before and now I've improved. And the tutor I've got has been amazing.
Yeah, that must be such a lovely thing to see. Yeah. You'll make a difference.
That's it.
Just going off what you said there about, you're scaling up the business, but at the same time, your social media has taken off as well. How have you been able to manage both of them at the same time over the last years?
I'm very lucky. I've got my wife left her job last February. Last February. So she's fully in the business, both sides, JGM and social media. I got a manager last May, Wendy Wolfson, Talent and PR, and with the help of both of those, and we also have an office manager. I almost forgot Andrew. Big up Andrew.
Good shout out.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Andrew is our absolute rock. So he manages the business day to day, makes sure tutors are happy, makes sure parents are happy, makes sure all balls are spinning correctly. And I shouldn't really say this, I always used to think I did a fantastic job, but he does a better job than me. All plates are spinning nicely, so I'm able to come away to Dubai and do things media-wise, and business continues to run.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear. So, you're embracing innovation, within science, and you've got all these new technologies going on. What technology or tools do you think are underutilized in the classroom currently?
What tools are underutilized?
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
something that can make a real difference in students' engagement, perhaps.
That's a really good question. That's a great question. Underutilized. This is going to sound like I'm judging here, because I'm not, and I've been a teacher for many years, and I'm not saying I was any better, but sometimes I think phones, although I think they're banned now in the UK in most lessons. I was in a school where they were banned, this was 10 years ago, and I thought that was a good decision in that school. The next school I went to, they weren't banned. And at the time, I was like, this is terrible. And then after a few months, actually, the kids behave in the school, and they've got a fantastic resource in front of them. And all the things and apps and things that are available, if kids aren't messing around, then they're fantastic. But if they are tempted to go elsewhere and it can't be controlled, obviously you have got to have a blanket ban. But if there's a way of changing the culture that kids can have phones and they can be trusted, or even not phones, maybe little iPads, but because we all have the phones on us, it's easy. Just ways to assess them. Kahoot was something I used to use heavily in the class. I'm not sure how widely it's used now, but just ways to teach the normal way for a few minutes, get them to do their activity on the phone, back to the classroom again, and assessment. That's one thing, but if I looked into it, there's probably loads of things underutilized, but that's just the first thing that comes to the top of my mind. And there's not an easy solution. Like I say, every class in the UK needs to get the back, because it'd be a madness.
Yeah.
In some instances where it can be controlled and kids will stay on track, yes.
Yeah, I remember the only time I would be allowed mine in the classroom was for Kahoot.
Yeah.
And it's a great tool to get everyone involved, but I'm sure there's so many other things now that can be used in the classroom, like along that sort of vein. But yeah, I imagine in the UK they're not used that much still. I don't think it's as advanced there as it is in the Middle East.
No. I've been visiting a few schools recently, and out here the schools are pretty advanced and quite incredible. So
yes, you had a school visit. Was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah. Where did you go to?
I went to the Royal Guildford School and Sharjah English School. Very interesting to see the differences in how schools are out here. Kids seem very happy all around in both places. Teachers seem happy. That's one thing I always check out for. And yeah, it'd be interesting if I could spend a few more days in the schools to see what they're doing, and if it's possible to bring some of those things into UK classrooms or into JGM with what we do.
Did you do any talks or get to chat to the students there as well?
I did a show at a school yesterday, and then a meet and greet afterwards. And the school and all the kids, everyone showed me so much love. I couldn't believe it. The applause when I arrived, I wasn't expecting. I thought it was on a TV show.
That's a very nice welcome.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I could hear them when I was behind the curtain. They were chanting, and then I came out and just went, crazy. Aww. And then they spoke to me afterwards, said that they used me for their exams, the year 12s, and the younger kids are saying they're using me now. And yeah, it's just a privilege to be able to help someone.
Yeah. And because you're doing so much with the tutor side of things and also social media, how do you measure the impact that you're having on students?
So the impact measurement is always going to be down to grades and results. So from the day that we only had about 5-6 clients, we would always find out in summer how they've done, what they had at the beginning and how they've done. We're getting hundreds of results now every summer, and we're doing the same thing. What were they on before? What are they on now? With the social media side, I usually measure it by messages. What kind of messages am I getting? Students, are they messaging me a lot saying they've improved? If they are, what are they saying? And yeah, every year it improves. And anecdotal things like number of likes, these things I look at as well.
Yeah, I guess it all adds up.
Yeah,
for sure. I was going to ask about how, you're in the mainstream media now. How has your exposure, I guess, in that world influenced some of the work you're doing, and has it crossed over into JGM Tutors?
That's a good question. Yes, I would say so. We get bookings a lot because people have seen me on TV or social media. They'll find out I run the company, and then they're interested to book with us. They assume that my standard that I put on for social media is the same for the company, which it is. And then they get in touch and we get bookings that way. Anything else? Other things happen. I've had clients from back in the day. So back in the day, I used to wear a suit to be prim and proper. I was very stuffy. And then I ditched the suit, ditched the Mr. Green moniker, and became more relaxed. And then the clients are seeing me thinking, oh, is that the same guy that I had all those years ago? So some people message me on social media, and they're always very nice, saying, your tutors did so well for our kids. It's so nice to see you, in the spotlight now. So yeah, that's always nice to get.
Well, when you're wearing something more relaxed and more comfortable and what you feel good in, I feel like that always sort of resonates with other people, doesn't it? You feel more relaxed as well.
Yeah, it's
feel more yourself.
Yeah, it's difficult wrapping in a suit and tie.
I can imagine. That's quite juxtaposition as well. And we've also discussed, or at least on our last podcast episode, about the future of science education. So now that you're here at GESS Dubai, are any of your views evolved on how technology and creativity can help shape science education? Yeah.
When I was walking past here, I had my eyes open because everything looked so great. And one thing that took my eye was a massive, multi-screen touch input display with real fast feedback. And there was someone trying it, and they moved like a map, and it was so fast. And I remember an episode of I think Star Trek years ago, or on a movie where they had some advanced planet civilization, and all these kids had these huge screens and they were learning by moving things around. That I thought was quite cool. And if you're in a scenario where VR or AR is not quite there yet, which I don't think it is, that would be a fantastic way to learn, right? If all three of us, I know the cameraman's not in this, but if we're all here and we're learning, we've got AR goggles on or VR goggles on. There's a limit to how much it can work at this point. But if we've got screens where we can manipulate all touch and it all wraps around, that's engaging. There's some really cool things you can do there. I always make and create things with history in mind, because I hated history at school. I found it very, very boring. And I think there's so many people that find science the same way. So, if I was a history student, and this whole wall and around us was 200 years in the past, and we can walk down streets and we can see things, I would have been interested in that. And if I was a student and I hated science, and someone's rabbiting on about the atom, I'm like, oh, I don't care. So what was heck? Here's an atom, let's zoom, let's walk around what's going in. Down to you'll be like, oh wow, what's that? Protons, neutrons. Yeah, and those sorts of things, that's what makes a difference. You remember that, you go home and you remember it.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. It's all the different ways of learning, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
I always found that hard with a textbook when they're like, oh, go and highlight all the important bits. And you're like, I could highlight everything, and you're not taking it in. And some people can, but I think very few. People need different ways to sort of take it in and remember as well. Because that's the other tricky thing when we're talking about the curriculum and exams, is that it is about learning and understanding something, but to an extent it's about memory as well. Which I know that brings up a bit of a debate
in
with
terms
some
of
people.
What you can remember?
No, in terms of like whether that's the correct way of assessing someone, because it's not then just about their understanding, it's who's got the better memory.
Yeah. Someone can remember a little bit, but they could have fantastic application. Or someone can remember loads of stuff, like use it in the scenario, and you can't. That's not particularly useful.
Yeah, for sure. So is there any exciting things with JGM Tutors or on the social media side of things that you're doing, or anything coming up that you want to talk to us about?
Something's happening with TikTok quite soon. Okay. I'll keep it vague so I don't get in trouble. Something's happening with TikTok quite soon I'm quite excited about.
Yeah.
So look out for that. My face is going to be on something. Actually, two things. Yeah, that's okay. The other one I'm definitely not supposed to speak about. And another one is fresh off the press. I revealed it to GESS yesterday. I've got a series of books coming out in 2026. So with DK Publishing, very excited about that. It's called the Wrapping Up series. We've got Wrapping Up Chemistry, Wrapping Up Biology, and Wrapping Up Physics. January 2026.
Oh, really?
They're going to be a series of textbooks, like your textbooks we remember from school, except there'll be that wrapping element to it.
Yeah.
Students can see the lyrics written and then scan the QR codes and see the actual video as well, so it links to that.
That's a great modern day twist on your old classic textbook.
That's it. Modern day twist. Yeah, I like that.
In the next 2 years' time at GESS, you can bring them down to our book swap as well, Cozy Corner.
I'll bring a truckload down. Yeah.
Oh, that's really great. I'm glad to hear about it. Things are going really well, and we've got some really exciting things to look out for as well.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us on site. This is our first ever GESSCast podcast, on site at GESS. So we're really glad to have you here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. It's a really cool place.
We hope to see you again next year.
Yeah, it's been a great chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you. To all of our listeners, stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more episodes to come up on our GESS Education website soon. And we'll see you at GESS next year.